Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jae Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have Brandon Morphew, the founder of Miso Partners. Brandon brings over 25 years of marketing expertise, having worked with global brands like Adidas, Red Bull, and Coca-Cola, and now leads Miso Partners, a purpose-driven marketing agency founded in 2013. Based in Dedham, Massachusetts, Miso Partners is igniting growth in industries like cannabis, yoga, and sustainable living through innovative strategies like SEO, Shopify development, and digital marketing. We'll be exploring his founding story, how his business empowers clients with integrity, and his vision for scaling this mission-driven venture. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. Brandon, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you, Jay. Really appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. I mean, an incredible background that you have. I know our listeners are going to love this one. So if you can take us back to the beginning, Brandon, what specific problem in the marketing landscape really inspired you to start Miso Partners?
So back then, we were a sales agency. So we focused on active lifestyles. So running, skiing, cycling, and yoga. I owned a business, a yoga studio with my partner. And yeah, as far as the challenge, I think it was more an opportunity. There was a gap in the space. I think a lot of the agencies that were focused on it were there for passion exclusively. That's part of what got me out of some of that. My career started at Adidas. I worked for a business that they had called Mavic, and it was a cycling business. And when I was there, as I looked up and looked at the people that I was working with, I didn't really see anyone that was a role model that I wanted to aspire to be. So I left that. I got into beverage. I worked at Red Bull. I worked at Vitamin Water and Coca-Cola, and learned a ton about marketing. And I wanted to bring that back to the active lifestyle. Started as a sales agency. That was the sort of the opportunity that I saw. And we brought a lot of the best practices that we had, whether that was engaging experientially in events and in the field, or some of the sort of sales process I think that you guys do so well, and brought that to those brands. So we worked with Rossignol, Felt, we worked with Raceface, several clients, a whole bunch of clients actually there. And that went on for 5 years. So I did that sales business for about 5 years. And then we pivoted into the marketing agency that we are today.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So with that, definitely would love to get into the nuts and bolts of what you're doing with me. So obviously you have so much experience and have seen so much success. So if you could walk us through for what's going on today with Miso Partners as far as how you're generating revenue, especially for our listeners who, once this comes out, could very well want to come and utilize your services and work with you, Brandon. What's the core offer here for Miso Partners? How is it structured, and who is your ideal client when working with those offers?
Yeah, so we're a full service marketing agency on the digital side, really focused. We don't have a creative, in-house creative person, but we do work with several creative partners externally. Our core offerings are lots of websites. So we do Shopify sites, we do WordPress sites, we will do Wix sites if someone's already in that ecosystem and they don't want to leave. E-commerce in Shopify, e-commerce in WooCommerce. We do SEO, we do digital advertising, Google ads, Facebook, Meta ads, programmatic advertising. It really depends on the need of the client. We have email marketing and SMS marketing. We're having a lot of success with the SMS side right now. I feel like that is a really strong opportunity for a lot of businesses. The open rates are phenomenal compared to email. And then a lot of automation. What we're finding is, so we focus on small and medium-sized businesses. We try to find someone who's in the 2 to 5, $10 million range in revenue. And a lot of them don't have this part of their business figured out. We work with them on their back end, their existing CRM, whatever they're using for their tool, and help them with the automation. So building campaigns around the different opportunities in the customer journey.
Incredible, incredible, and really just a wide array of services there. When you're thinking about where you are now, Brandon, how are you thinking about continuing to scale and grow? Is this a point where now you're comfortable where things are with Miso, or are you looking to continuously grow, scale, and take Miso to the next level?
Yeah, we have growth goals. I think we'll continue to grow. A big part of the foundational concept behind the business is working with thoughtful, intentional partners. So we talk about intentional living, intentional lifestyle, and whether that's cannabis or yoga or cycling, these are activities that people engage in often with decent thought behind what they're doing, why they're doing it. And that's important for us. And we bring that into our marketing. So we look for partners. And so that's our focus. So if we talk about our ideal client profile, we're looking for someone who's in that active lifestyle, that often we are working with cycling, retail, manufacturers in that space, running some of those same clients that we've been focused on. And we have a lot, it's not what we focus on as our ideal client profile, but we have a lot of partners that are in service businesses and manufacturing. So our partners are not always in that space. So we look to folks that are really thoughtful and intentional about their business, that have like values at the core. They're driven by purpose. They want to make an impact. And so we look for those partners, and we do find them across different industries. As far as growth goals, I'm definitely bullish on where we're going and how we're going to get there.
Love it.
And we do try to be selective with who we work with.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So with that there, I definitely would love to pick your brain a bit, Brandon, on the acquisition side. Obviously, this is something that you guys help your clients out with pretty heavily. What's working best for you guys? Are you guys eating your own food on that front with the client acquisition? Do you have what are the best channels that have been most effective for you for bringing in new leads and clients?
Yeah. Referral is both for us and for our clients is an incredibly rich opportunity. So how do we position ourselves as a great referral partner? So someone that you can recommend to your friends and family. And that's true for us. That's also true for our clients. So that I put that up at the top. There's great tools for referral. So LinkedIn's a really great tool for referral. You can obviously with Google Business Profile and social media, there's lots of ways to put yourself in a position to be referred. So being active on those platforms. I'd say we do an okay job with our business. We do a great job with our clients.
Yeah.
So that is one channel. We do outreach. We have some automation on the LinkedIn side. We like putting campaigns in on that platform, both cold as well as not so cold. So second degree outreach and then nurturing campaigns beyond that. And then once someone comes in, then we move on to more traditional 5 minute, 10 minute cold call or check in qualifying, and then move into a discovery call. And then sometimes we'll need a 2 or 3 step beyond that just to build trust and build rapport and understand their business better. As far as other advertising has worked really well for our clients. So we use for new business, as far as intent goes, with search, Google search is still great. We are actively engaged in getting our clients into AI, so generative AI search as
Yep.
well. So that generative, whatever you want to call it, generative engine optimization or
Yep. Yep.
AI search engine optimization, that's front and center right now because it's just growing so fast. And if you look at Google, they're still crushing it, and Gemini is great, but there's so much other search that's happening. Meta search is a really important platform. How do we make sure our clients are in all of those places? They're in Instagram and Facebook. They're in, depending on the client, they're on service businesses. They're on Nextdoor. They're active on Nextdoor. They're on Angie's List. All of those places, even Yelp. I'm not a big Yelp fan. Sorry, Yelp, but it's a bit of a cesspool. And it's also a place that people do go. So making sure that as we go down Twitter, Blue Sky, these are all places that people do search and use. YouTube is huge, that. So all of those opportunities, making sure that they're part of the mix as far as search goes. And then content in general, building, it all feeds into that same funnel.
Absolutely incredible. So really having a full-fledged system here to be able to have that predictability in that lead flow. So it really sounds like you got a solid thing going there. and are having that consistency. So as far as the process itself, Brandon, is this something that you're still running with a close-knit team, or do you have a sales team, marketing team behind you? I know you have partners that you work closely with. What does that team look like?
We're small. Yeah, we're small. There's two of us full time, and then
Wow.
we have a whole bunch of partners. So we work with contractors across almost every part of our business. So I have myself, I handle a lead generation, and then I have operations, so a full-time operations person. Chris Melman, he's fantastic. He's a really solid, amazing. His ability to learn AI and learn like what we need. It's just been fantastic to have a partner like him. And he's actually a professional cyclist as well. So
Incredible.
he's out
Okay.
racing his bike in Oregon right now. Yeah, good luck, Chris.
I love it. I love it. And amazing. So on that front, Brandon, so are you running all of the sales as well when it comes to the leads coming in? How does that sales process look for you guys?
Yeah, it's a mix. So I have referral partners, and so we offer a commission based on referrals. So it's a good opportunity when someone can bring us a lead. We give them a piece of the action, and most of our engagements are 6, 12 month engagements. So we that's a and then ideally it's going to go longer than that. So the goal is not to just have a 6 month partner, but we want to build, we're thinking, all right, this is the engagement. This is what we're doing. What can we do next? What can we do? We're always thinking about like, how can we help this customer grow? How can we help this business continue to evolve? And so ideally, we can be a partner with them for a long time. That client, the customer life cycle is hopefully longer than the contracts, and it has been. So we've consistently had folks stick around. Our attrition is relatively low, all things considered. So
So with that, a phenomenal model, is that something that are you thinking about bringing a sales team internally, having more of a setter closer model internally, or is what you're doing now the way that you want to stick with things moving forward?
I think so. The next role will be an account person. So right now, between Chris and I, we take the meetings and it's good, it's manageable. And I think there's opportunity there to help bring someone in to manage some of that full time at some point in the near future. There's like a number of clients, not so much revenue, but of clients. And once we hit that number, then we'll bring in someone full time.
I love it. So with that, obviously you have some serious systems in place here and are seeing the success on that front. What are you thinking about as far as a bottleneck that you're looking to solve to continue that growth and scale that you're aiming for here, Brandon?
I think even with the systems, I think it's still consistency around lead generation. So we do feel good about what we have, and I think that consist. So it's fits and spurts sometimes. It feels it as much as we put in is what we get out. So I'd say I'm a human being, and we have people that are helping us. We have those systems in place, and shit happens. So we'll end up getting focused on a client. We'll get up to our eyeballs, and that'll derail some of that sales. And once we miss a month of work, we see it 2 months later. Like it, so it's
Right.
not to take away from what we have, but I think consistency in that realm. I go on vacation, and so does the sales process. Not to say that the team that we have, the people that we're working, they're contractors. So the contractors we're working with on the sales side aren't effective. They are. It's just I am a linchpin here. And so that's I think the biggest opportunity for me is shedding some of the responsibility, or maybe giving up some of that control. Yeah, it's part of that's one of the challenges, I think.
That is one of the push and pull situations of a founder, and it's really for our listeners. That's huge as well, right? That knowing that, hey, I'm the bottleneck here as a founder. I need to be able to position myself in a way where things can run when I want to take a vacation or take some time off, or I have to really dive deep with a client and help them out. Things can still be running efficiently and smoothly. So obviously, with all the systems in place, they're still working through having some more predictability, especially when you need to take a step back a little bit. So just incredible on that front to have that mindset, and just really hope our listeners are tuning in there, because I do have a lot of solopreneurs that are listeners, and this is a big piece there, is really putting the pieces in place to have that success even when you're not running the show at that moment. Overall, I would love for you to paint us a picture here, Brandon, as far as the rest of this year is going into 2026. What do those top priorities for you look like? What are you really laser focused on for that growth and scale, and maybe breaking through that bottleneck and having that more predictable system on that lead gen side?
Yeah, we're we have really good operations, so marketing operations for, I'd say right now, 3, 4 different verticals. So we have e-commerce side, so brick and mortar, small and medium-sized businesses that are doing well on the e-commerce side that we feel strongly that we can help. And so we want to scale that. We have examples, we have great case studies, and so now we're ready to scale that. Additionally, so I don't want to say we figured out the model because every client's a little bit different. They have a, even though they're in the same industry, they focus on a different part of it. They have a core part of their business. So it's a little bit different for each client. And we've learned a lot with the clients we're working with. So we want to scale those services. We can do that with 3 or 4 industries right now. So we can do it with retail, e-commerce, active lifestyle. So that's bike shops, run shops, ski. We want to do that. So that's part of it. Then we have clients in real estate, and that, although it's not a as high of a like ring, so it's not as high of a ticket item for us, we really see the impact. And that's such a, I think, a competitive space. And that's, I would say, often good good real estate agents are spending. They are, investing in their business. So that's another category vertical. We have done a lot with services, home services. So we have plumbing, electricians, and then some fire, water damage. And we are in a good place with those models. So we have the workflows built out. We have the sort of communications. It changes per brand, but it's not like night and day. We have all the keywords, both the good and the negative. And so we understand a lot about what works for these verticals that we're looking at. And I'd say put some gasoline on it. That's for the rest of the year, is to ramp up on the acquisition side and just make sure we can deliver on the service side. Because we do have the capability and we know we need to bring on some people, but I think we understand who they are. And yeah, so does that answer the question?
It does. It does. And I think that's the biggest piece there, right? Is just really having that scale mindset, even with the success that you're seeing. And I just love having founders like yourself on the show that you can have as much success as possible and still have that drive and wherewithal to really keep on pushing forward. So just incredible hearing that mindset and thought process from you, Brandon. So I have one more question for you before taking us into the lightning round and closing out the show. And on this side, I would love to hear from you of how you see the marketing industry as a whole evolving in the coming years, especially with your focus on purpose-driven strategies and your insights on prompting and AI. How are you really taking advantage of this evolution that you're picturing?
Yeah, it's going to change. This is probably going to be the biggest change in human history that happens right now. It's exceptional. I'm excited. I feel like this is an opportunity. So we're from a like fundamental, stay curious. I don't know everything. I'm not going to know everything. What can I learn? I'm regularly adopting new tools. So what is here today? Probably ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. Those are going to be tools that stick around. Midjourney. I think those are going to be around. HeyGen. These tools are going to be, I would say, longer term. They're probably get acquired. They're probably going to be someone else's. They're a feature now. But there is, I think, a mindset around like actively using these tools. So for us, I think making sure we're head of the class, we're sitting in the front row and we understand what is working, what's not working, and how we can use these tools. I think as far as marketing in general, yeah, I don't think it's, I think it's going to continue to fragment. So
Yeah.
like this, and being everywhere is hard. Like that list, the short list I gave you of we got to be in Google, we got to be in Apple, we got to be in Meta, and then we got to be in Blue Sky, we got to be in Twitter, you just go down that list. At YouTube, it's a long list. And I think it's going to Reddit, it's going to continue to fragment. These things are not going to get easier. It's probably going to get harder. So I think like as much so knowing who you are, knowing who you serve, knowing what your value is that you bring, the problem you solve, like these things, the questions you ask, like these are fundamental. And then being able to articulate that to your audience, like being able to share that and then optimize for the opportunity. So when someone thinks about a good marketing agency that can help them grow as a small, medium-sized business in that $2 to $10 million range, oh yeah, those guys, Miso Partners, they are a partner that we could work with. So that I think having your ducks in a row and then I think staying at the front, like being a part of what's happening, because you can't do everything. There's no way to do everything, so you have to pick which ones you're going to do. And I think it's just there's a lot here. And I think the thing I'm most excited about is the big guys. So if I look at like the Ogilvies and the McCanns and these sort of like massive agencies, they can't do this. Like they have systems in place. I think the bar for being a really good marketer, really good agency is in some ways going to be raised, in other ways is going to be lowered because you're going to be able to do stuff as a small business, as a medium-sized business that the big guys aren't going to be able to. You can already see it. They don't want to put these tools into their business because they're worried about the impact. And I think that you're going to see individual operators and small groups just crush. ChatGPT had like almost no overhead, no head count. This is like small groups of people are making huge impacts. These tools are just mind-boggling in how powerful they are. And yeah, and it is going to impact jobs. That's the one thing I think is a real challenge is we're actively staying at the front of it because we just see this as like this is a bigger wave than social media was. This is a bigger wave than the internet was. And so it's important to stay ahead of it. If you learn how to drive a car when the car came around, that was a big bonus, right? Like you're all of a sudden valuable. So we're learning how to drive the car right now and do it as well as we can. And we're learning to drive as many models of cars as we can. But I think there are going to be a lot of people that don't. You're stuck in your ways and you have a way of doing things. And I worry there's that to me is more what's happening is because we're a consumer driven industry. All the stuff that I talked about, all of our clients, at the end of the day, like people are buying stuff from them. So if we hurt that base, if there's less, that's a real concern. So how do we make sure that the people that are not paying attention come along? Anyway, I digress.
And I love it. I love it. I love it. I have one more question for you before we wrap up the show here, Brandon. And that's just going to be what is the best piece of advice that you can offer to our listeners tuning in? Just heard your incredible journey this far. What can you leave them with before we wrap up the show today, Brandon?
I think what comes to mind immediately is focus, but I think consistency. That I don't know if you've read Power Consistency by Weldon. Is it Weldon Long? I think Weldon. I think that's his name. That book's amazing, but that just getting after it every day, I think is because there's always going to be stuff that gets in the way. And I think that consistency is so much of what makes it work, myself included. You get thrown off. And so if you have that routine, if that regiment, you can get back at it and ideally get back after it early. That makes a big impact. So that would be my 2 cents.
Incredible. Incredible. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. And Brandon, truly cannot thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing your incredible journey and your insights with us. And as I mentioned, clear as day, with your passion, your drive, the intelligence, just the structure that you have to keep on growing and moving forward, you're going to see some incredible success. And it was truly an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, which I know so many of you have, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And also check out Miso Partners at misopartners.com to book a complimentary strategy session and follow Brandon on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Brandon-Morphew. For more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we are dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth. Until then, keep climbing, and we will see you on the next one.